new month, everyone. We are now officially in February. I hope you guys enjoyed the series I did in January, which is basically about fashion as a hobby, benefits of doing fashion as a hobby, generally the hobby side. So this month I decided I'm going to get into the career side because there's some people who still want to get into the fashion industry as a career. So I am going to divide them into three. So for the next 3 weeks, we're going to talk about different career aspects of fashion. Some of you might think it's only design. It's not design, but this week's episode is design-based careers in the fashion industry. I know maybe you think there's only just one or two or three. No, there are a couple of them, and we're going to look at them this week, and we're going to continue building in the weeks to come. So I'm trying to make the videos short so that it's also not overwhelming, and also if you just want to watch, rewatch just to check what the definition of each career is, it will be easier for you to do it. So let's begin. So the jobs or careers that I'm going to talk about this week are some that you're very familiar with. The usual being a fashion designer, jewelry designer, accessories designer, milliner, footwear designer, and all those kind of jobs, including I added patterns into this list. So we're going to go through them so that you can be at least more familiar with basically what the job description entails. Because I know here in Kenya we probably do multiple of them, or because very few people really specialize, you find that you probably do more than one. There is nothing wrong with doing multiple, but it's also important to just know what it is you're doing and if it's worth pursuing and where your strengths are and everything. So anyway, let's just start so that you can get the idea. So we are going to start with the design related careers. Please keep in mind that a lot of these specific job descriptions still mingle and intermingle with other aspects and other job descriptions within the fashion ecosystem. So you will hear me mentioning other jobs that are done by other people. It could be their complete job, but as a fashion designer, you should be aware of these kind of things. So a fashion designer is someone who designs apparel. Apparel is basically clothes. They may also design accessories, so it's not completely ruled out. And they do participate in different range of activities, which include the development and concepts of the fashion collection, the trend forecasting, that means knowing what's going on, what's going to sell, buying materials, sewing the garment or making the accessory, working with colorists and people who do draping, and providing advice even to retailers. So in a nutshell, that's what a fashion designer does. So next we have a jewelry designer. So a jewelry designer is a professional who designs jewelry. Jewelry designers use all sorts of materials. It could be metal, plastic, wood, stone. Some people even use fabric, unconventional fabrics, like basically anything that can make jewelry. They usually are trained in the design process and have expertise. Some of them can do computer-aided designs with computer-aided software, and many do have experience as people who are specifically experienced to use precious metals and precious stones. So in a nutshell, that's what a jewelry designer does. Next, we have accessories designer. I know it might be a bit confusing because jewelry is considered an accessory, but I wanted to separate the accessories because there are some accessories that are not jewelry. So it could still be some jewelry designers, but accessories designers also include other things. It could be sunglasses, it could be headbands, it could be, cases for your phone, or, just basically basic things that you could use for anything else that even would complement your outfit. So they are creatives within the fashion industry, and they do work, of course, in the design process and everything. And you will find that a lot of fashion designers do also design accessories and jewelry to go along with their collection. So accessory designer could also be a fashion designer who uses their leftover things to make accessories so that they can be able to just add on to their collection. Next, we have the milliner. So I personally really admire milliners because it's a very specific craft, because it's all about making hats and hair accessories. And I have seen the most outrageous designs from milliners and also the most toned down designs. And they use all sorts of things to assemble a hat. And they also use all sorts of techniques. They could twist, roll, fold, reinforce, sew, steam, press, and add various components. And materials could be fabric, felt, fur, leather, straw, artificial flowers, ribbons, braids, feathers. And they alter and they also renovate hats, so they don't have to make it from scratch. And they can make from display hats to just hats that people are going to wear. But yeah, a milliner is basically someone who really specializes in headwear and hats. Next, we have shoe designer or footwear designer. These are the designers who specifically just specialize in shoes. I know sometimes it looks like it's just a shoe, but it's a functional garment, so to speak, because you really need to understand feet, how feet are. They are wide feet, narrow feet, long feet, short feet, long toes, short toes. Some people have flat feet, some people don't have. Like, there are so many other things. There are even people who don't have feet, but they still need something to wear to protect them. So a shoe designer is an individual who designs shoes or footwear for the manufacturing process. Some of them make the shoe by hand, some of them use mass production machines, and they typically design based on trends, materials, the latest fashion. However, some might also just develop shoes for practical, they're just wearing them practically, and new shoe styles and designs are created with very specific specifications. So a shoe designer oversees all that. So I put someone who does embellishment design in its own category because I think it deserves that. And most of the time, at least here, embellishment design is outsourced because someone might hire you to basically add embellishment to their garment or to their shoot, whatever. So it could be someone who does beadwork, embroidery, applique, maybe dyeing, maybe laser cutting, embossing, engraving. A lot of those services are available here on order. I know that overseas there are some, because some of those things come here, we do get trims that have embellishment on them. So you already have it embellished and then you add it onto whatever it is you're making, whether it's a bag, a dress, a shoe, whatever it is, a hat. But yes, this is one of those that you could actually have it as a service if you want. And I know that especially with the very big brands, this is a whole career where someone's job is only to do beadwork on a whole garment and all that. There's so many YouTube videos for these big brands where you see someone whose main job is to just do embroidery and to do beadwork in a very big frame, and they do all that. So embellishment design is also a career and a sector on its own because not everyone who designs things can do this. I added another category and called it the specialty design because this is for people maybe who specialize in specific things. It could be that they specialize in a specific technique such as macrame, or they only do knitwear. So they could actually be making anything from clothing to accessories and stuff like that with these methods. So that's why I put it in their own category. It could be the people who do leather work, the people who only use lace, or they make lace things, maybe fabrics from lace, and then they sell the lace. Maybe you do handicraft, maybe you do some kind of weaving technique and that's what you sell. So it's something you actually design but people use it maybe on a bag or even in interior decoration or even on clothes and things like that. So I have kind of put this in their own category and call it specialty because you're specializing in a specific technique. There is a special mention of someone who does needlework. The needlework is someone who creates handicrafts or decorative items such as embroidery, lace, crochet, and knitting patterns, and they particularly are involved in needle and thread or fabric and do creative pieces with that. And
basically it's usually done in a very traditional method and mostly by hand, and they can fall in between the embellishment and the specialty category that I've added. And I just thought I would mention it because they are not necessarily people you can really tie down. But needlework is one of them. Next, we do have a pattern maker. A pattern maker is a skilled technician who creates templates that are used in mass production to produce clothes, shoes, furniture, plasticware, basically anything that you need made. A pattern maker is there. Their job is to translate blueprints and design models into factory patterns, drawing software or freehand measurement techniques. So the reason I put a pattern maker in the design part is because most times it's very difficult for you to move from a design concept to production without going through the pattern process. So this is actually a very important step in design, and most times you can't really, you have to be able to figure out how you're going to put together your design, and that's what a pattern maker does, and has to work hand in hand with the designer. If you don't know how to create patterns, you'd have to hire someone who's very good at patterns, and then you move from there. And it's very difficult to move forward to the next step of production without this process, whether it's done freehand or with flat patterns, paper patterns, or draping. This process is very important, and this skill is very important. So a graphic designer might be a very strange career to see in this category because it's usually its own job. But yes, you do need graphic designers within the fashion industry, and they're responsible for the visual appearance of any design or project that you're doing. And they may specialize in different disciplines, but a lot of graphic designers hired in fashion studios are the ones that help with the computer aided programs and transferring the software, the drawings, the hand drawings, into computer aided design, so that you can be able to, see it and be able to work with it during production. And they may also limit the colors and save money and things like that. So they do have some, it really just depends on how much power you give them or how much work you give them in terms of their job description, but they are people who have graphic designers in their teams. So lastly, I will talk about the creative director, because for me, this is the title I give myself even within my own business, because a creative director is responsible for determining the overarching theme, color palette, styling of the apparel, seasons, collections, basically just thinking about the big picture of everything, and kind of the person who is between production, design, and the business side in all that. And for me, I really think I don't think you can really place a creative director in one specific category. I just decided to put a creative director here because they are always there from the very, very beginning to think through the whole process. So it's even difficult for you to move from a design process to production process without the go ahead of the creative director. So technically, creative director is everywhere, but I decided to put the creative director here because we are at the beginning of explaining the jobs, and I thought that it's important to mention creative director. So if you're running a fashion company and you do multiple aspects of the business, the title I would advise you to give yourself is definitely creative director. I know CEO is very popular and everything, but creative director makes basically reassures somebody that you know every aspect of what's going on in your business, what needs to be done, and everything like that.
So that's it for this week. Next week we talk about the production jobs or careers that are in the fashion industry, and we're going to look more about that. I know maybe you expect some of them to be on this list. The truth is some of these jobs overlap because some people have skills in both sectors or majority sectors in the fashion industry, so you find that your job kind of overlaps in different areas. But the point is just to understand the job description and exactly what you're supposed to be doing when you have that job. So let's see you next week for the production jobs. Bye.